By the way, is New York Magazine going to retract this loser cover? Can you retract a cover? Turns out Hillary Clinton's campaign is also charging media bias now that she's lost the election. Everyone expected her to win. Kristen, in a conference call with donors yesterday, widely reported by the media, Hillary Clinton talked about FBI Chief James Comey renewing that investigation into the email. Our analysis is that Comey's letter raising doubts that were groundless, baseless, proven to be, stopped our momentum, says Hillary Clinton. Now, we'll never know what would have happened had this not happened. Could it be said that the saturation coverage of Comey's renewed investigation did change the atmosphere of the year?
He was already falling in the polls before the Comey letter. And frankly, I mean, if you ask about anything in these last 2 weeks that would have changed a voter's mind, I think something like the Affordable Care Act premiums announcement is going to have much more of an effect on someone's pocketbook than a rehashing of the debate over the emails that we'd already been having for months. So I think the idea that that stopped her momentum, I have a lot of questions about that.
Fair enough. I think it stopped her media momentum because that was the story for days. Now, Julie, John Podesta, the former campaign chairman for Clinton, said, according to The Hill on a different conference call, the media always covered her as the person who would be president and therefore tried to eviscerate her before the election, but covered Trump as someone who was entertaining and sort of gave him a pass. Gave him a pass? What do you think?
Well, I think, and this is due to Trump, not necessarily the media, started to normalize some of his more, in my mind, reprehensible comments, whether about Judge Curiel or about women or anything else.
What do you mean when you say the media normalized?
Because when you have, let's remember Mitt Romney had that binder full of women comment, and then the 48% or 47%, everybody went ballistic. It was one misstep, right? Trump had so many time and time again that it almost became normalized. It almost didn't become anything, not one became crazy and something that was anathema to people because so many of them had happened that people were starting to get used to it. I will say, look, I think at the end of the day, people voted for hope and change in 2008. Those same people voted for hope and change now. People were promised in the height of the Great Recession that their pocketbooks were going to be fuller, that they were not going to be paying as much for health care, as you pointed out. And it didn't happen. And you can't say that people who voted for Trump are all racist or bigots or anything else. A lot of them were Obama voters twice over. They voted for the same thing.
You can't say that, even though some people have been saying that, and we'll talk about that later in the program. Also interesting that now Donald Trump is saying he may preserve some elements of Obamacare, particularly ban on pre-existing conditions and allowing young people under 26 to stay on the parents' policies, which some people could say, oh, he's changing his mind. All presidents-elect go through this. They have to reconcile their campaign promises with reality. But in that Podesta conversation, he said that he was talking about what they view as the over-coverage of the email scandal versus Donald Trump's business conflicts, didn't release his tax returns. But does the Clinton camp really believe the media were not aggressive enough toward Donald Trump?
They may. I think that the bigger problem that the Clinton campaign has is how they were covered, because so many people would just say in a blanket fashion that the media may be anti-Trump, but they certainly weren't in the tank for Hillary Clinton. And the reason that I would point to on that is that over the course of this campaign, the media was on this activist mission to get Hillary Clinton to apologize for everything, whether it was her emails, whether it was Benghazi, whether it was her husband's transgressions in the past. It was all this activist mission, and it was very strange rather than covering what she would actually do, and I think that's why Podesta was
Her own top advisor said she had a pathological inability to apologize, but at the same time, some of these WikiLeaks disclosures, whether it was Donna Brazile leaking CNN's questions in advance, other journalists cozying up to the Clinton campaign, made a lot of people think that the press was, if not in the tank for Hillary Clinton, certainly very sympathetic to her.
Well, if you take a look, Gallup has been asking this question over the last number of decades. Do you think that the presidential candidates are talking about issues that matter to you? Is that what you hear when you tune into the media and you see what's being discussed? And we hit record lows in this campaign. And I place a lot of blame on, for instance, the Clinton campaign for that.
But do you place some blame on the media, which was constantly distracted by, Access Hollywood, all kinds of accusations?
Sure. I would love to have seen more coverage of the issues. But you know what? People knew that Donald Trump wanted to build a wall, renegotiate trade deals. He made very clear what he wanted to do. Hillary Clinton had a basket of about 5,000 things that she would talk about variously, and I think that makes it hard for any one message to break through that clutter.
All right, we are going to leave it there. Julie Roginski, Kristen Soltis Anderson, and Aaron McPike, thanks very much for stopping by this Sunday.